Ranger. All right, we are back for episodes 3 and 4. Let's move some things out of the way. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. There is a copyright thing going on, but it's still getting views, and that's fine. I like just to do this for fun. I'm not trying to make money off it, so it's fine if let me turn it down on my end. Yeah. So we're back. We're gonna get into the weapons in this episode. Let me see if it's the best for me to scroll where you guys can see some of the words. I think the first thing I should talk about is how awesome this cast is. I really like this cast. Oh, and we went over Bones. Was in the second episode of the American version, so they stretched it out a little bit. It's a lot different because how they used the first American one. We got the Megazord, we got them fighting Goldar, I believe, as a giant and all that. In this, we haven't even touched the Megazord yet. And we're gonna get to. We only got the red Tyrannosaurus Guardian. I forgot what they call it. Again, I've only watched this a couple times, but I figure it's a fun watch through because I'll go, oh yeah, that's the name right there. And so I'm not some Power Ranger genius. It's just fun to watch. So with this cast, though, these guys have, it's just like any other superhero movie or something that does it well, where the characters are all separately done very well, and they just, like, I love Dan as the goofy guy that just kind of slacks off a lot and wants to break free sometimes, and Boy is pretty stern for being one of the youngest ones, but he kind of looks up to them. Goshi is the very bold, no jokester, attitude of let's get things done, kind of the tank of the team. And Me is just, I hate to say, they make her a typical girl, which they don't do too much of that. Geki, he's, like I said, he's Steve Rogers in this. He's Steve Rogers in this bitch, basically. So in this one, they go to the Land of Despair. And this is how they're going to get their weapons. They were in the neck of these dragons. Now, in this episode, in the American one, they have trouble with the Minotaur villain. And Zordon's like, I think it's time we need it, because he grows and they fight him with the Megazord, and they just can't get it done. And see, here they go to it, and they use, I believe, in a different episode. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure they go to that island in a different episode. I'll recall once we start watching the following episodes. But here is where they have to go to get the legendary weapons. In the American one, they lose to the Minotaur while they're both huge, and they retreat. And then Zordon's like, I give him the weapons, and that's how they beat the Minotaur in that episode, the second episode. So they have to get to that castle. They have the weapons there. It's pretty dope because the weapons they had would look like this basically, but just not as pretty. But when they morph, they get the sick looking ones, which I still kick myself for not buying the Red Ranger sword when it was out. It was expensive. I think it was like $300 or something like that. Now it's like $500, $600. It was when Mattel was making it, I think, not Hasbro. But again, this is Rita being Rita, going after little kids. Took the mom You must find not only the weapons, but the boy as well in one day. It's just really... The thing she throws at them, Bandora, what she throws at them is pretty crazy. So I believe they're going to split up. That's what I believe. I can't remember if they do or not. If this was an American episode, for sure, they always end up splitting up and then meeting back up. But I know in this episode, Jason, the Red Ranger, is obsessed with beating this bench record. And he's like, 1,001, and he gets distracted, and Zach runs into him. Kimberly blows a bubble. It's really, really goofy. Yeah, it's just goofy, and that plays a big part of what's going on with Jason in his head. But again, none of this shown. I believe they do possibly show them making the Minotaur looking dude. Can't remember what they call him. I'm going to squash him with a Dora monster. And these dudes are just like, we're going to go screw some shit up. It's really weird how they do this. So they do end up splitting up, which happens in the episode. Yellow and pink, and I think, wait, is this the one where they're? Yeah, this is the one that they're. No, the next one is the one with Jason. This one, Trini and Kimberly are hella trying to recycle. So this is Trini and Kimberly go off on their own to a wasteland, and Rita has this like wasteland she planted for them to go to where she's going to trap them. The guys just don't happen to be there. They're not in that story. So that's why there's nothing with this going on. But Minotaur dude does come show up in it. This was like these episodes are really good. The fact that they keep running and it's just they keep seeing the same things, and it's just kind of a different take, like from watching the Power Rangers I grew up with to watching these as an adult. It's just kind of interesting, the take, and why are these other soldiers and warriors getting turned into stone to them. And there's Dan being Dan. He sees the mirage, he wants water, and very, like I said, very anime-like character, I feel like. Over-exaggerated. That's not him falling, by the way. That's a good stunt double. And that's just scary. What's actually funny is in the American one, Bulk and Skull actually go to attack Kimberly when they're talking about recycling, which is really odd. They let that go. And they both go to grab her, and she moves, and they hit each other, fall backwards, fall into each into a garbage bin. And then there's a third bully that I've never noticed, that she's a girl and a punker looking with glasses, and they try to make him look like a punk. She's like in it trying to help them. Yeah, and that's the basic story of the American one, is them in this episode. It's weird how much translation they do to this. He's like, screw you. You two want to jump up? Not again. Like, the ass whoopings that get handed in here are pretty crazy. They do let Genki get away with some stuff because he's like the leader, but dude, it's pretty nuts. But yeah, so that's basically the story of the American one, is really focused on that recycle. The American ones always were about trying to teach you how to do something good, as a kid or whatever. But yeah, so they're just doing their dumpster crap right now, and that's what would be happening here. To me, in this one, it seems like they don't need to transform that much. Because they're knights, you know. She's a princess, they call her, but I would think she's on par with the knights. There's that horrible graphic. Goldar with wings, by the way. I think they talk about Goldar talks. He has a weird voice of the American one, but in this one, he's not allowed to talk, or Rita grants him to talk at some point. We'll get to that point later. So this does take place. God, that Ranger gun is just so cool. And they spread on him, man. They spread. Did I call him Boy earlier? I think I did call him Boy. Because I know I kept saying Dan for the Blue Ranger, which is true. But God, they're, like I said, they're suits. I feel like he should be shorter. Whoever the stunt double is for Dan. I don't think they really cared about that. And they really couldn't use none of this. I mean, anything with the American, or I'm sorry, with humans in it, they can't use it. They had to use the suits without the other human interactions, because it'd be the Japan footage. I do believe they cut this right here where she gets hit by him and Goldar's fighting. So I do remember watching this, because they're fighting Goldar when they're getting trapped at the wasteland, and the three guys are taking on the Minotaur at the same time. I want to see how it plays out. Man, he's just whooping their ass. Oh yeah, and Babu and Squire are gonna just be tossing rocks and shit like wapa, wapa. It's impossible to find the weapons. Yeah, so I don't know how this was. They're in the beach. Maybe they get transported, because the wasteland is very, like, where the putties fight them is very dingy metal fences and stuff like that. But this happens. I remember Yellow Ranger trainees like, I'll go to handle them. Same kick happens, but then all this is not shown. It cuts from there. So they are going to make him grow quicker than I expected. Yeah, Door Minotaur. I don't know if they just call him Minotaur and but they aren't on the island, to my knowledge. To my knowledge, the island is not there. Because like I said, they're at the power plant and they're gonna fight him and they disappear. They really stay away from those shots as well. The big fake background moving with them all like low the cut. Guardian Beast Tyrannosaurus. I was gonna say T-Rex. So I believe we still haven't got the Megazord yet. And again, I'll know his name as soon as they tell me it. So they do call the Zoo Mammoth. They're gonna call the Zootrops. It's not Triceratops. Guardian Beast Zoo Mammoth. Triceratops, but he's... Oh, wait, they did say Guardian Beast Triceratops. Does it change its name right here? Because I swear it was different. That thing's mobbing, dude. No, Guardian Beast Triceratops. Guardian Beast Saber-tooth Tiger. Doesn't sound the same without hearing Trini's voice saying it, though. But see, I don't know. I guess they're all on the same island. So they can see this huge Minotaur in the air, even though they're fighting putties and... But I just wonder how they did the pterodactyl with the girl, or the boy being with... Yeah, because I don't believe they had that close up. They probably just cut to them all running. God, I still love all these iconic suits. remember going through Toys R Us just trying to find these. It was so nuts. Then once you got them, there was no villains when they came out. So I remember I had like some Ultra villains I found at like a comic book shop. And that's what I'd have to use. And to be honest, it was fair. So I don't get it. Yellow and pink are supposed to be... This does happen. I thought for a second that didn't happen. The Pink Ranger or the Pterodon helping, but they just disappear after that. Goldar, and then nothing else happens, I believe. They get shot at, then that's that. But like, I remember getting those villains and stuff, and it worked. It was fine. See, this is what I like, man. I like when they use these Zords and they have them do cool things besides coming together. I wish the series did it more. I think it's really cool to show that the Zords alone can do work. I thought the last movie that came out, they kind of got forced to be a Megazord, but they fought all by themselves, and I like that. Yeah, Billy always had the cables he used when they did use it. The Blue Ranger, and then the Mammoth would use freeze. So in this, they knock him down. I guess the Pink Ranger wasn't piloting it. Neither was me, and Boy weren't. Because they're trying to find the mom. Oh yeah, and this is really bad graphics, but when they cry, they turn into stone. So I don't know if all the other warriors turned into stone from crying. Because I think the Rangers started turning into stone. That's pretty sad. A little boy turning into stone like that. I can tell you that much. So the continuity of these are actually very... I wouldn't say if, you miss it, you wouldn't be able to follow. But it is... A lot of these episodes connect from one to another, as in two-parters a lot. But, you know, some of them are a little bit filler. And so we're going into Reawaken Legendary Weapons. So I said we're getting the weapons in this episode, which is not that episode. The last episode they didn't get it. They're getting it in this episode. Because they blend together because they're still doing the same story. These are only 20-minute shows. So forgive me on that. They're recapping here with all the saran wrap or duct tape on him. There he at least looks stone. That's what I'm thinking, like, did the American version take anything from this part? Because I don't think they do. I think this is just straight all of episode 3, and they used what they needed to out of this. Because I don't know if there's a lot of the Red Ranger T-Rex fighting him. It's because the Megazord's fighting him. They're all in the Megazord, and that's when they have to leave and bounce. She wanted him to retreat now. Let's rush into the castle and get the weapons. So I guess that's an easier way for them to do it on the American episode is, again, what are you doing? To obtain the weapons on our own. I mean, the robots ain't gonna be able to fit in the cave. To be real, the robots are kind of assholes in this. It's a good time to get a fire. So I guess the weather is what made them decide to get the Minotaur out of there, which is weird for her to care about the monster, but I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. But they're stuck in here. I think they could bail and come back later. But there's no mentioning of them being worried about Boy and me as well. So they're like, did Boy and me find the little boy? Like, they're not even worried about this whole Minotaur, you know, try to destroy all them and stuff like that. And no, we're back to this. And they got their fire going. Again, don't know how they got their fire going. But maybe they know what they're doing. They know how to live. I don't think they should have separated. Let's be real. I think they're asking for trouble when they split up. But see, what I was thinking is, how are they going to save Hiroshi when all those other knights and stuff like that couldn't be unfrozen? That's just me. Yeah, this is definitely all put in episode 3 of Power Rangers. They took a lot. And we lose a lot of the human form because they can't use any of this. So they're still running in circles. Again, I thought it was a kind of a cool idea that they're at a magic place that would be like that. Now they're all mimes. Let's break the visible wall. I just think it's funny. Like, how do you know how hard or thick it was? Yeah, you got through, Keiki. I don't know how they realize they keep getting closer, because every time they see it, it's still that far away. Boy kind of looks a little Tarzanish. They're blocking us with lightning. I don't know who's us. It's the castle is shooting lightning at them. I wonder how much they had to get down to the sparks and figure out. This was really, I didn't like, yeah. Lightning hit the brick wall, that was a dead end, and then it's just a door. And it's not even like a super cool ancient door. It's just a door. And you open it that way, fireball. Which I thought they're caught on fire and he lost his eyesight, eyebrows, hair. No, nothing. Then use the other side of the door. Different. There was no reason to have that scene. No reason at all. But yeah, that always killed me. And then that happens. They fall and they meet up with everybody. Plot armor, well done. I wonder how old all these guys were when they, guys and gals were when they did this episode or this series. Because some look young, some look way older than the others. I know Geiki comes back in future episodes, to my knowledge. I wish I really followed more with the Japanese ones, but the only difference is they weren't like how Power Rangers did at first, how they all connected to up into in space, because that's when it was supposed to end. And then after in space, they started doing it where it had its own story. But then it was always weird when another Ranger from like back in the day would show up. It's like, what were they doing? Just chilling whenever bad things happen, they don't morph and help or whatever. So of course, none of this plays a part. This is like an evil sword. Time for your last challenges here. Release the evil sword. Because I know some of the lettering gets cut off. But again, with it being copyrighted, I don't know how much I can show. Sometimes people put it in reverse, but I'm doing just a straight streaming. We get Evil Dan. I like Evil Dan. He looked cool. His mind was filled with evil. And it has to be pulled out, I believe, no matter what. But again, just a reminder, this is far from what happens with the one I grew up with. Geeky's gonna fight it, but guess what? He's still gonna turn evil. Cutscene. Geeky? I mean, that's a big ass sword. Let's be real. Close one. Get rid of it, but he never dropped it, so Geeky should have been like evil and screwed up. Every time they throw something or something gets hit, it just finds their way for them. I get it's a kid's show, guys. I get it. It's a kid's show. But at the same time, it's just like these things happen pretty easy. So these just, they find it. I don't remember if, oh yeah, let's say something happens that they have to fight for them. Again, Zordon just hands it to everybody and is like, look, this is your weapon, but he gives them the morph versions. These aren't the morph versions. She tells them you have to earn it, however I won't let that happen. How Bandora got there, how she knew, I mean, she did know they're at the island, but how she found the castle and got there, she is magical. They can't move, and was that, you only have a little time left? One day will pass and you will all turn to rocks just like Hiroshi. Oh. That was Sneaky Bandora, that's what he says. It's time. They said a day. Oh, I guess fully they'll start turning up, and then by 24 hours they're gonna be stone. I just like in the beginning it's just like masking tape wrapped around it. I mean, the budgets of these have to be somewhat, you know, decent to build the sets and build the suits and the Megazords and all that, but things like that, like, you think they'd go a little more out than looks like duct tape. So basically, I'm skipping all that. He's speaking to the legendary weapons, saying that we need you to come to us to fight off the evil of Bandora, which is kind of a easy cop out, because like they really all had to, they just had a call to it, and that's it. She's not feeling it either. She's not getting what I'm doing. He says we won't forgive you, but for what? Door Minotaur's there. Again, another reminder, none of this, of course, can be used. So that's why I'm guessing they summed up the first, or the episode 3 and 4 to just make the episode 3. Because even these putty scenes are all different. And I already know where we're going on now that I'm catching up thinking right now. I already know where we're going into the next episode, but I'm wondering if they'll just take enough for the regular American Power Rangers for it to take episode 4? Would that be it, 4? Because Bones was in 2. This is 3. Yeah, so episode 4 is where I'm guessing. I swear this is used when they're on the island of like illusions. I'll have to put it together, but I swear there is a scene that she does that. God, who keeps on listening to me? But I'm pretty sure there is that. And the hole gets knocked again, and they found the mom. Again, I love this series. I do. But there's just a lot of too many practical things that just happen to tell the story. It seems like it'd be really easy to write. But there are, like, once we get into, like, some of the hardcore, like, I don't want to say emotional, but, like, storytelling of the connection of, like, a lot of these things. Again, because the continuity does go pretty well. But I wouldn't say, oh, you missed some of these episodes, you missed the whole thing. You don't. But yeah, so when he was large, only the Triceratops and them fought him. In the America one, it was the Megazord. The Megazord failed. They left. They beamed out. I don't know what footage they used to show them light up and beam out, and they leave. And they go to the command center and say, hey, this dude's too strong. And before that, Zordon tells Alpha, I guess I got to give them the weapons. And it's like, no shit, Zordon. Of course you should give them the weapons. So they get these weapons. They get the morph ones, of course. So we never see the unmorph weapons, because those are only when they are in their human form. So a lot of those scenes where they're showing them like glow and stuff, they're only showing the part where it starts showing that weapon, the new weapon. God, I love that sword. Sword's so clean, so nice and so clean. And they call it the Howling Mothbreaker. Is that Patera arrow? This is where I'm getting the Tricera. Saber daggers, Trice lance. That's where I was getting the Trice from. Does he dragon downing sword? Howling cannon. Howling cannon's a badass name actually for a weapon. But that's how they beat him as well in the episode, because they couldn't do it as the Megazord, which is really saying something, that they couldn't handle him as the Megazord. So it's kind of weird. So let's say they kill him right there. That's gonna cut off. All this isn't gonna happen because it deals with Hiroshi and his mom. So again, once that happens, I believe they cut to the America scene where, yeah, we beat them, and then it goes back to them in Angel Grove at the juice bar or whatever. So you gotta figure so much of this was cut out, because there's a lot in this episode that could not be used in the one before that. So all that made episode 3. And this is weird again. Like, her tear saves him. I mean, sweet moment to get your son back. Look at that acting. But for all those other guys, warriors that have tried to get the weapons, I believe, no mom's crying for them. So I don't know if any tears or if it's any crying, or I don't get it. It's very weird that she just blew it up and somehow they all got off. But they got off. They transported. And yeah, and that's the thing too, you have to remember in this, there is no bracelets, watches that let them communicate with each other and transport with each other. It's probably, that's probably more of a plot armor for the show, is for them to get out of things they can just leave and morph, or they can communicate easier. But it's like making a movie nowadays using a telephone. You're like, just call somebody. When you're making a movie in the 80s, when you're like, oh, I don't have a phone, because you have no cell phones back then. So with this, it makes it a little bit different. They can't just call each other when they need help or whatever. So it's a different way of telling stories and stuff. And a lot of these episodes end like this, where they save a kid or kids and they go away. You think you've won. I'm going to destroy you next time. You think she just will start again. But they're ready with their weapons. You gotta just love the vibe of these guys, though. Like, the team looks good. They have the chemistry. They have the looks. I really, really enjoyed watching these guys through the whole series. You're basically saying, let's fight together and take out Bandora. They're gonna pose with their robots, which, again, their robots are kind of like their own thing. It's really odd for me to see them as their own. They're always like in the heavens because they're these guardians, you know, whatever. They're these special beasts, and they're they're a higher power, basically. It's very odd because when they're in their single modes, it doesn't feel like that as much. But when they're Megazord, which we still have not got to Megazord yet, so you have to remember that we haven't got to the Megazord. He's his own entity, and he even like will lecture them and tell them what they need to do and what they shouldn't do or whatnot. But yeah, it's very weird, even how the whole series ends, which hopefully I get to that point and I'll explain more about my feelings with the Zords and what's next and stuff. But yeah, so that was 3 and 4. It feels like it should have just been one episode, but there was so much going on in the filler of that story. They had to do with the child and the child having Hiroshi getting lost and losing his mom. So they had to find the mom, they had to find Hiroshi, they had to find the weapons. I felt like it was a little bit too much for the whole story, but that's going to be a theme in a lot of these, is they always have a kid in trouble or children. There's a lot of crazy episodes with a lot of children in trouble. When we get to those, I will laugh with hilarity when I shouldn't, because it's just some goofy things happen. But anyway, so that's it for 3 and 4. If you are watching these with me, I do appreciate it. It means a lot. I saw went to like 47 views, then went to like maybe around 80, and that's cool. I'm not trying to go crazy here. I'm just trying to have fun and talk. I love Power Rangers, the first seasons especially, but I do really like all the other Power Rangers. I'll probably get into that some other time. What other Ranger shows that I really like? I'll just tell you, SPD is probably one of my favorite. And Space is up there too. Probably one of the best intros. Regular Power Rangers has a great intro. But yeah, so that will sum us up. We will be going to episodes 5 and 6 next, and that's the one where it's going to start. The American version is where Jason is trying to do the bench pressing, and hilarity ensues if you watch that American episode, because it's really goofy, and it's the whole point of what the American version tries to make around the next episode. But I'm eager to find out if it's just episode 5 they copy, or is it 5 and 6 make that one episode, because I believe there's only 30 episodes or so in the regular one. And like I said, the Dragon or the Green Ranger saga comes a lot sooner in this and is stretched out way longer. But that will be where we have to explain a lot of different things that are going on. So anyways, like, subscribe, share, check out other stuff. We do podcasting a lot, right now our podcast is like the location wise, but we still have fun. It's fun. Listen, put it on while you're driving, put it on while you're pooping, and just listen to us talk about movies and TV. Then we have the other one that's Life's Full of It, where we just talk about life and random things come up. There's stuff, people walk by, people walk in while we're talking. It's just one we have just for fun. But yeah, check us out, and then I'll be back with the next 2 episodes hopefully in a couple days. Thank you guys. Bye.